Welcome to another edition of the Infamous Podcast, the holiday edition. I am your host, A.C. McCrae. That is J.K. over there. Jay, Merry Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah. What do you celebrate Christmas? What do you celebrate?
Happy holidays to everyone out there, and everyone, thank you for tuning in on this Christmas Eve. For me, AC, and a big happy holidays, Merry Christmas, happy Hanukkah for those who are, just finished up celebrating or in the process of finishing celebrating, as well as Kwanzaa and Festivus and winter solstice and all those things. All that to you as well. And yes, I celebrate Christmas. As you can see, I brought Creepy Santa with me from the 1950s with not a ball gag in his mouth.
So we need to explain that. Before we went on air today, Jay was showing me his stuff, and I'm like, oh, that's really cool. You got Santa with a ball gag. He's like, what the hell are you talking about, ball gag?
He's got a scarf, a Friday the 13th scarf on. And, of course, my personal favorite, Bah Humbug.
Bah Humbug. Yep, there it is.
Humbug, yes.
So, as I was telling you, I actually discovered we had a flood like you did recently. Ours was a couple years ago.
Right.
And some of our stuff that we thought didn't get wet actually got wet. Stuff that we were going to pull out for today. So, this is my Christmas setup. This is a skeleton. And this is one of our favorite Christmas ornaments of our family. This is Krampus. It's a cat Krampus that's handmade by a lady in Pennsylvania.
Wow.
But that's one of our family's ornaments. So that's my Christmas set. I spiced it up a little bit this week because it's a holiday. We're having a celebration.
Woohoo! Well, I can say to you folks out there, because, when we are here next week, hopefully it'll be a new location, a new setup for me, because with New Year's, new tidings, and new location. So I'm looking forward to it. But I brought Gremlin with me. I brought Creepy Santa with me. I brought my Joe Dante signed Gremlin thermos with me. I have the Charlie Brown Christmas tree with Regan and Jack Torrance, hiding behind it. So I got all kinds of stuff here for this Christmas special here on Christmas Eve. And the Infamous Horror Podcast is here. And AC, how have you been doing since last week?
I'm doing really good. I actually had a really weird opportunity from friends of mine. A lot of people don't know this about me. I've been ordained for like 10 years to perform weddings and things. A friend of mine out of the blue called me and said, hey, let's do a wedding. I need somebody to fill in. Okay, I guess I can do that. I've never actually done one in the 10 years I've been ordained, and it was a pro wrestling themed wedding. So here I am in a wrestling ring, dressed as 80s Earl Hebner with a black bow tie. I'm not even kidding. Here is the black bow tie that was part of it. And I did their wedding talking about Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart and the lessons that they can learn from the world of kayfabe. It was a really unique experience, but that has actually turned into a bigger business. I'm going to be doing weddings for some other people now. So you need a wedding, give us a call. Infamous Horror Weddings is coming soon.
Oh, that'll be wonderful. We'll have the service, the pomp, the circumstance. Woo! All the magic and ho, ho, ho.
If we get the Godfather, and if Ric Flair shows up, he can walk your wife down the aisle. She may not be as pure when he gets her down the aisle, though.
I love it. Well, I had said to you about Shawn Michaels, that'll be the perfect accent, having come out and super kicks the groom, and it'd be does anyone object? Boom!
There it is.
A kick, So, well, that's so cool. Congratulations.
Thank you. What have you been up to? You've been obviously decorating for Christmas, but other than that, what have you been up to?
Well, I've been in the process of packing. I'm getting ready to move shortly, and I'm enjoying the last days in the residence I'm currently in, packing. But I wanted to make the studio here in Northwest Jersey as festive as possible when it comes to it. And it's funny because this week I had an opportunity to talk with, an effects legend for the film that came out from Screen Media, Black Friday, which has Bruce Campbell in it and Devin Swana. It's all about the Black Friday shoppers when they get hit with a meteor and then a creature comes out. And I talked with Robert Kurtzman, the legendary effects artist, and it was awesome. I talked to him about 20 plus minutes. And you know what? AC, I've done so many interviews. I've done, for those who don't know me, or because this isn't brought up every single episode, but I've done over 1,900 interviews in about 10 years on Horror Happens, Horror Hound, Dread Central, a lot of ones here now in the Infamous Horror Podcast with you, AC.
Yep.
And it's really incredible to think about it that I've talked to so many people, but someone like Robert, who I've talked to before at Horror Hound Weekend Indianapolis, you just never know. You never feel like you know enough to even be able to talk to someone like him. And he's so down to earth. He's such a wonderful guy. He's so passionate about what he does for 30 plus years, probably close to 4 decades, on and off the record with his effects work, makeup, special effects. But he's someone who loved the idea of working on Black Friday, more of an indie production. So he was able to be more creative. And it was just a blast to reconnect with Bruce Campbell after Bubba Hotep and the Evil Dead Part 2, So it was very cool to talk with him again. And he's just a wonderful, wonderful man.
Awesome. I've actually never met him. He's one person that I'd still like to meet one of these days at convention. Back when the world opens more fully, I'll be doing more here soon, I hope. Very, very soon.
Hope so.
But being this is a Christmas episode, we got to talk about some Christmas stuff. And I'm a little weird. The last couple of years, there's been a real focus, it seems like, at Christmas time. If you don't like Santa, you like Krampus. And that's your only option, Santa or Krampus. No, I'm here to tell you there's some much worse things out there than Santa or Krampus. Much, much worse.
How about the Gremlin?
Yeah. I mean, I'm talking real tradition stuff.
Real?
I mean, I still believe in Mogwais. They haven't been discovered yet.
Okay, let's hear it.
So in France, let's go to France first, because it seems like a good place to start.
Okay.
And I want to preface this by saying, just like I told you earlier, I am a very monolingual type of person. I love languages. I think they're beautiful. I don't speak them well. I don't hear them well. So I'm going to probably butcher some of these names of these Christmas creatures. So the first one is Pierre Frottard. I'm not sure if that's anywhere close to the translation. Do you speak French at all, Jay?
I don't.
Okay, so that one's out. So if you speak French and you're watching, please correct me, because I actually have a thing in OCD where I need to know the correct
subtitles on the bottom. You see where it says patreon.com infamous horror? Yes. You got to put subtitles right near your nameplate there.
For anybody watching, I'll actually spell it for you. PEREFOUTTARD.
Okay.
That's the best pronunciation I have. But the name doesn't matter. What matters is this is a creepy, creepy legend. It's actually based on a 12th century myth from France about a butcher who murdered 3 children, cooked them up really nice for Santa, and then tried to feed them to him. And when Santa arrived, he raised the children from the dead and gave the guy a job. That's basically the story. So now, Pierre Frottard works as a sort of like a bad Santa. The name also is known as Father Whipper. So he's, we have Father Christmas and Father Whipper. So he just goes around beating the shit out of children if they're bad. So not great, but France, good start there. That's for I dedicate that one to Stephen Martin, our bosses here at the Infamous Horror Podcast. They're French Canadian. They'll probably know, and they're going to correct me on this one or yell at me.
They probably will.
Coming to you from Iceland. Iceland has a troll named Gryla the Troll. I'm going to read this because this is just unbelievable. These are real Christmas things that people discuss. Gryla comes down from her home on the mountain to locate rude children on Christmas, cram them in a sack, and drag them back up the mountain to be boiled and eaten alive in a grotesque child stew. Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas! Ho ho no! Oh my God!
I am so angry that I didn't learn about this when my kids still believed in Santa, because they would have been terrified and would have not screwed up all year if I said somebody's going to come eat you.
Okay, oh God! Oh God! Wait! Before you do the next one, hang on. Père Fouettard. That's Père Fouettard. Père, it means Father Fortitard. That's what it says right there, folks. If you can see it, it's up to right. You can see it.
What the hell is that?
Père Fouettard.
Or I'm just going to Americanize all these. It's Père Fouettard.
Okay, Fouettard. Hard. Got it. Okay. Sounds like a Mike Myers movie.
For sure.
You'll Faja equals daddy.
We had a little too much eggnog today, folks. I think we didn't eggnog it out.
I am from Holland. Isn't that weird?
Our next Christmas creature, not from Holland, actually, it's not even a Christmas creature in this case. It's a celebration from Guatemala. It happens on December 7th. So a little bit past a few weeks ago. It's called Le Quema del Diablo, which means lighting Satan on fire.
I love it.
Yeah, so basically they have little devils and they light them on fire with torches.
He's already hot enough. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm going to do a couple more real quick. South Africa coming into us with another terrifying one I'm going to read to you. Danny the Ghost. Danny the Christmas Ghost. Like,
Danny
what the hell were these when I was growing up as a horror fan? I want Danny the fucking Christmas Ghost to come and haunt my house at Christmas. Okay?
When are we getting the claymation for Danny the Christmas Ghost?
Is there somebody out there that can do it? I will voice anything you want me to. Let's do this. And Patreon.com, Infamous Horror, Facebook.com, /Infamous Horror. Do it. We need to do this.
Do it.
Do it. By next Christmas, we need to have a movie where Jay and I are voicing these Christmas creatures.
I love that.
Here's Danny the Ghost. He's a ghost that hangs out between the veil of the living and the dead, but he still really, really loves cookies because the legend is Danny was a boy who was beaten to death by his grandma for eating Santa's cookies.
What the flip?
These are the greatest Christmas stories I've ever heard in my life. You can see I'm excited because I'm just learning about these too as I was doing research for the show. I can't wait to dive further into these. But he's said to haunt the homes of naughty children who are thinking, not even sneaking out of bed, but thinking about sneaking out of bed to make the same mistake he did. Details are a little hazy on what he does, but generally they all end up into children being devoured by a ghost.
Wow. That's insane, dude.
And the last one is going to terrify me the most because my big fear, one of them is spiders. I hate spiders. And in Ukraine, which I will never visit Ukraine now, they have the Christmas spiders. This sounds like a terrible idea, a very bad idea. So let me read this one. The roots of this tradition are in a legend about crying children in an undecorated tree and a Christmas miracle, aka a bunch of spiders made their own from tinsel from their horrible spider bodies. They decorated the trees with their fake spider webs. And in Ukraine, it's actually not a scary thing. It's made to be festive, and the spiders create tinsel from their buttholes, basically, and it's all fun and dandy. I wanted to finish on a good note there, but spiders are still goddamn terrifying. So it's terrifying to me.
From their butts? What?
Yes.
Oh, God.
Ball gags, butts, and children devouring Christmas creatures. This week on the Infamous Horror Podcast.
Exactly. We'd like to thank my aunt here for the production design of the 50s style Santa here, who's uber creepy as it is. And we got spiders with stuff coming out of their butts, tinsel. And we got Danny the Ghost Boy. And we got the Guatemalan holiday of lighting the Satan on fire. What? AC, I thought you had a 9-to-5 job. Where is this coming from?
This is all just again weird stuff. My wife and I, like I said, we have this weird museum, and we just devour this stuff weekly. Like I could never, be. I want to be like Josh Gates, the Destination Truth guy that always travels across the world and learns all this stuff. I'm fascinated. I have a desire to learn more. And want to know
love that. I love that, dude.
I think the Infamous Horror Podcast needs to go on the road. I mean, I know this is only like episode 4, but I think on the road is what we need to do. They need to step up and send us on the road.
Kerouac is alone. We're going to go on the road with him. We're going to go Willie Nelson on the road again. Going places that I've never been. Going to find some weird shit that I've always found. We're going to go on the road again.
And there's our theme song.
My poor ass Willie Nelson impersonation. Oh, God.
Oh, we'd have some good times with Willie, I'm sure. Speaking of good times, though, Jay, like we do a lot of. I want to just kind of transition out of that because those are some weird traditions from across the globe. With you've got some Christmas stuff there. Do you have any weird traditions that you do for every year for Christmas? Anything that's horror related that you like to do?
Now, you know what's funny, and this is going to disappoint a lot of people for the audience that's out there. For me, Halloween is not my favorite holiday. Not even close. And boo. When you live at 364 days a year with doing everything with horror, going to festivals, conventions, writing, all that great stuff, I love it. I'm so thankful and blessed for it. And I'm thankful for anyone who's willing to watch it, read it, whatever.
Absolutely.
But for me, Christmas is my favorite time of the year. And one of the things that I do, one of my favorite traditions, and I started this when I was working in the school system and aftercare programs is I make it a point to be the villain of the holiday. I walk in with my Bah Humbug hat on. I have several Bah Humbug shirts. As you can see, who my hero is.
Yep.
Grinch. That's really, as close to a horror tradition as I'm going to find when it comes to something that crosses over into Christmas holiday. Because for me, my family has always been wonderful when it's come to the holidays. Even though my parents are divorced, have been divorced for a while, the holidays are meant to be a lot of fun. I will say though, one of the trickiest things is because through most of my life, whether, starting now, let's say 25. So yeah, it's been 20 years of my life now. Splitting time between all the different houses, AC, that's hard because you're going from one to the next, You're eating, you're opening gifts, you got to stay. And then when you leave, if you could read their minds, there's no ho, ho, ho. It's what the flip are you doing? That's what it is. Why are you leaving us so soon to go over there? We don't like them. We like them. Blah, 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 blah. The whole point being is that while I don't have any weird traditions in my house, I love the aspect of Bah Humbug because it gets a great reaction, just like a great heel does in professional wrestling.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I mean, it's one of the great things that I love. So that's about as close as I get to a horror tradition or anything like that. And it's funny because 3 or 4 years ago in Columbus, Ohio, and I think we're going to get to this in just a little bit, Horror Hound had a Christmas convention about 4 years ago.
Really?
It was so flipping cool because I got to talk to Ken Page and Chris Sarandon. They were there about the Nightmare Before Christmas. And I don't mean to pull away from the Infamous Horror Podcast, but if you go on SoundCloud on Scratching the Surface and Horror Happens, you can listen to that panel from that event, the audio of it. And also I got to talk with the two leads from Silent Night, Deadly Night 1 and 2.
Oh, wow.
I got to talk with Lynn Griffin from Black Christmas. And I got to talk to the lead actor from the horror version of Jack Frost. So it was one of the coolest events. But when we get to it, I've got a really cool story that has to do with that. But that's really been the only thing that's been out of the ordinary for me when it comes to something that's horror, that's not like cutesy like that. The Horror Hound Christmas Convention, which was awesome. It was so much fun in Columbus.
Yeah, I don't recall that one, and it kind of bums me out because I usually pay so much attention. But 4 years ago was a little bit of a different time in my life, so I was kind of transitioning some things. So maybe that's why I missed it. But it's kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
We've got some traditions in our house, kinda.
What are
Okay, so I'll preface this by saying Halloween is my favorite holiday. Christmas is actually the least favorite of mine. But I never had a good one really growing up. I would get toys or whatever, but it was never just a lot of extenuating circumstances. But so I've really started celebrating the last couple of years with my family and my wife since we've been together because she's a real Christmas person and trying to, show it to me that, hey, we can create our own traditions and stuff. One of the things we do, and there's a movie out there that stars Michael Shannon and Ron Perlman and Judy Greer called Connorsville. Have you heard of it?
Yes.
Love Connorsville. It's probably my favorite Christmas movie. Has nothing to do with Christmas really, other than it's set at Christmas.
Right.
I'm not going to include it later on. We're going to talk about some Christmas movies later on. I'm not going to include that one. But it's just a really fun sort of Christmas comedy. Michael Shannon plays a store owner who's just kind of a guy like me. He just kind of helps everybody out, tries to be nice to people, and they kind of walk all over him. And including his wife, who is a furry with Ron Perlman. They go out in the woods and have these furry parties. Speaking of furry.
Yeah, that was great timing, dude.
Great timing.
What are you doing?
But it's just a fun movie, and they think they're going to find Bigfoot and Thomas Lennon's out there. And it's just a really fun movie. But we watch that every year. It seems to be one of our big traditions. And then, of course, the other one is putting all the horror ornaments on the tree. The Ghostbusters ornaments for me, and the kids have some spooky ones, and we've got coffins and bats and things. So just a really kind of, that's really our tradition and stuff. But other than that, we just eat some things and watch some things and sit around and do nothing.
Well, hey, you know what? To each their own. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. I think that's wonderful. And I know, depending on the culture, and I'll use my girlfriend, my love, Susan Decker, her family comes from Ecuador. So Christmas Eve is when they celebrate, and Christmas Day is when they just sit there and just relax the whole day. So, each culture, each family each, whatever has their own way of doing things. So that's fantastic. For me, Christmas Day, Christmas Eve, was a lot of times with girlfriend's parents or in-laws way back when.
Yeah.
But Christmas Day is for the family, and it's a great time to be around. Unfortunately, there's always a lot of fighting when it comes to it. That's an unfortunate, problem. It's not just our family, but it's spread around. But that does happen where, people are doing it. But you try to have the best thing. And I will say this one tradition. Actually, yes, I do have one. Actually,
Okay.
I love watching March of the Wooden Soldiers or Babes in Toyland, depending. I love it. I love watching it. Laurel and Hardy and stuff. And the reason why I love watching it and why it connects to horror is because that movie is frightening. If you look at it, the villain and the monsters that come out of the woods to capture little Bo Peep, they're terrifying. It's just, I'm going to guess it's a shade over from the aspect of the German expressionists and the silent era of cinema. But they come out of there and it's just terrifying the way they look. I mean, they look like horrifying Oompa Loompas.
I've got to check this out. I don't think I've ever paid much attention.
It's on WPIX every single year. Watch the black and white. I recommend it more, but the color is beautiful also. Okay. But watch Babes in Toyland or March of the Wooden Soldiers, depending on how it's being classified. But yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of a freaky, scary movie that's not intended to be a freaky, scary movie.
Kind of like a Return to Oz or something.
Like what's the one with Mother Goose's Rock and Rhyme? Do you ever see Mother Goose's Rock and Rhyme with Shelley Duvall?
No.
Oh, it's terrifying, dude. This is a movie about this guy. I want to say his name's Jordan. It's not Jordan. Gordon. It's Gordon. And Gordon is the child of Mother Goose, and he doesn't believe in fairy tales. He doesn't believe in any of that. So he's like the Scrooge of this film. And so basically it's got Little Richard, it's got Kiss, it's got all these amazing people, but it's terrifying because it's like surreal, and the musical numbers, some of them are really fun, but then you have Kiss who's like like a close up in camera, like a serial going, Gordon never really. It's just unsettling. And what's even more unsettling is watching it as a kid than watching it as an adult.
Yeah.
You realize how terrifying it is, and why in the hell were we watching it when we were kids? Who greenlit this? Just like March of the Wooden Soldiers, it's meant to be fun, but it's got some really frightening stuff in it. It's one of those things. And hold on. There's also, and I don't mean to get off topic, but I absolutely.
No, fine.
So anyone who knows anything about horror, about Rebecca Mckendree. She's a PhD. She's a professor. She's one of the most intelligent women within the genre. She used to write for Fangoria. Her and her husband David direct movies. They did a horror anthology, a holiday horror anthology, or at least an element of it, like 3 or 4 years ago. And wait, let me find it, AC, okay. And I'm gonna play a song for me, or I'll recommend a song for me. It's absolutely terrifying. Your assignment next week, once I find it, is to listen to it and tell me if it's as disturbing. So hold on, I'm gonna find it.
Okay. Yeah, some of the things for Christmas, there's a lot of Christmas traditions and Christmas things that are just really, really scary.
There's tons of them. Are you kidding me?
And to me, the scariest is Feliz Navidad.
Why is Feliz Navidad? Why?
So I actually was told years ago in some sort of like weird seminar, like church thing my family took me to, that when somebody says something over and over and over again, it's a form of brainwashing. So I swear to God, Jose Feliciano is trying to brainwash me if I listen to that song over and over again.
Oh my God, that's crazy. I found it. It's Ray Conniff from the album We Wish You Merry Christmas, and the tune is Ring Christmas Bells.
Okay.
Folks, if you're looking for a macabre, haunted house, kind of gothic horror, this is your song. I don't know how it's going to sound, AC, so you tell me. I'm going to play a quick clip of it. But AC, your assignment next week when we talk about our favorite films is to tell me what you thought.
Okay.
Sounds perfectly normal, right? Sounds like a Christmas song, right?
Yeah, nothing.
So you hear those voices?
Yeah.
It sounds like you're in the mouth of madness by the end of the song, because the voices go from, all harmonic and beautiful and singing to ring, ring, and it's like terrifying. It's like something you hear in an insane asylum. At least I thought it was.
I will listen to that, and we will talk about that next week on the year-end wrap-up show. Like,
exactly. And the reason why I brought up Rebecca Mckendree is because I was in Chattanooga like 4 years ago, something like that, with her and her husband, and we were talking about holiday horror, and I brought up that song, and she's like, I couldn't agree with you more. It's a terrifying song. And it really is. So listen to it and get all the way through and listen to that final chorus as it's like death is coming for you in the holidays. It's terrifying. At least to me, it's terrifying, folks. Folks, if you agree with that, post it on social media.
Yes,
what's a song, a Christmas song that's really disturbing? For him, it's Feliz Navidad. For me, it's Ring Christmas Bells by Ray Conniff. What's yours? Because
let us know.
This for me. I play that, and I even upload it on my iPhone. And I'll tell you what, it's terrifying. I love it, but it's terrifying.
I'm looking forward to it, but at the same time, I don't know what to expect. So, has there been any explanation on it that you've ever read as to why it's like that or anything?
No,
or should I go into it blind?
You know what? Maybe it's just me. Maybe I got something screw loose with me, because unless you're really in the horror, most people don't find it to be very disturbing. But that end part sounds like you're in an insane asylum. It really is a holiday insane asylum. There's a movie for you. Let's do a holiday insane asylum movie.
I'm down. Again, somebody cast us in these things. You need sexy podcast hosts in your movie. We're for hire. We are for hire. Speaking of people in the movie, this is a Christmas episode. We'd like to give a big Christmas gift to our friend of the show, Eduardo Sanchez, the creator, director of Blair Witch Project. Go right now to our Facebook page, facebook.com/infamous horrors, or our personal Facebook pages. Find the petition. We're trying to petition Disney to at least give Ed a chance to speak to them about directing an episode of The Mandalorian. As I've said before, his credits speak for themselves. Let's give him a great Christmas gift and get him the thrill of a lifetime as a Star Wars fan to direct and be part of that world. So go ahead and check out our petition, facebook.com/infamous horror, facebook.com/AC McCrae 6363, or A Strange Man in the Filmland, or JYKY on Facebook.
Very good, dude.
I got it all in there.
Remembering that. God bless you, my friend. God bless you. So, well done. And yeah, you know what? There's a lot of filmmakers who have transitioned and from features within horror to a lot of amazing projects. And if anything about Disney, when you see with Disney Marvel, especially AC, there's a lot of horror filmmakers who have taken up these IPs for Marvel movies. And absolutely for the aspect of Star Wars, that tradition should continue with that, because there's not someone who's more passionate, but also more professional in all the works that he's done, TV, film, and so on. And he's just amazing. And it was great to have him on as part of the inaugural episode of the Infamous Horror Podcast. So we thank him, and we thank John Dugan, and we thank Father Evil for last week. And actually, you want to get a Christmas gift? Go to FatherEvil.com. He's got candles, and he's got rosaries, and he's got busts of his head. Speaking of busts of head, can I show you something?
I'm a little scared now, but
no, he's great, man. You remember how I brought up Lynn Griffin before?
Yeah.
Okay, Columbus Horror Hound, the Christmas show, like 4 years ago. Yeah. So Lynn Griffin is one of the most sweetest women you're ever going to meet. Absolutely wonderful, and she's a very professional actress, but she's really known for one particular role, and that's Black Christmas. Bob Clark's film about the POV killer in the attic and all in the sorority house and all the women. It's going to be on my top 5. So spoiler right there, top 5. So I had the chance to meet her because she came out and she was part of that panel. And I walked up to her, and my ex-girlfriend at the time, we were together, and she goes, well, what is she famous for? Because we usually create these like pieces of memorabilia or these things that get signed that are memorable. Like I brought up before about some of the stuff on the Patreon we talked about. I have the film canisters that get signed by filmmakers and actors from that era. Stuff like that. Very cool. Joe Dante with the Gremlins thermos. Great stuff. So we found a mannequin's head, a beautician's mannequin's head. And so we took plastic, because those who know who Lynn Griffin is, she is the one who, through the entire film, is covered with saran wrap, plastic wrap, and strangled in the attic for Black Christmas. She's the woman, the actress that's there the entire time, that at the beginning, she's attacked, put in the rocking chair, covered, smothered with the plastic, and then you finally realize at the end of the film, she's still there. So I walked up to her and I said, Lynn, would you sign the head for me?
Oh, wow.
And so my ex and I, we shrunk wrapped the plastic on it. I took the plastic off. Afterwards, I put it back on, and she signed the head. So I was like, wow, this is really cool. Lynn Griffin, an icon in one of the most impactful holiday horror films of all time, and really one of the most impactful slasher films. Really create the POV, or really push forward the POV. So she goes, oh, you like that? I was like, yeah, that's great. She goes, watch this. And she put the bag over her head. And she actually took a picture with me, multiple pictures, with the bag over her head. And she's like, this is great. I'm like, you're gonna pass out. And so she did that, holding this at the Columbus Horror Hound show. So there you go.
Wow, that's awesome, man.
So
you've been waiting all episode to show me that. You went and got that before the show and everything.
Oh, it's freaking wonderful. I love that. In fact, let me put it in the shot actually.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Here we go. Let's see. There you are. There you are.
You know, we're halfway through the Christmas episode, Jay, and I think we've been talking about top 5. You know, we had some plans to do some other things, but I think we need to dive into the top 5 because we've got a lot that we could talk about with these Christmas horror movies.
I love it.
So we've each picked out a top 5 of not the best Christmas horror movies or the best anything, just things we think that should be watched at Christmas time. And you can let us know your suggestions too at facebook.com/infamoushorror and any of the other socials we mentioned earlier. But Jay, I'm going to let you go first. What are your top 5? Let's go. Start with number 5 and go all the way down to number 1 for me. What do you got at number 5?
Do you want to alternate, or do you just want me to do 5 to 1?
Let's do 5 to 1, then I'll do my 5 to 1.
Okay, here we go. So for me, number 5 is one I saw on FearNet. When FearNet was a thing long before Shudder, there was FearNet. And FearNet was awesome because it's the same thing as Shudder, except that the films were a little bit different. There was originals, cool stuff. And I saw Santa's Sleigh. Bill Goldberg, 2005. And I never thought I would enjoy that kind of a movie. But I'll tell you what, Bill Goldberg is phenomenal as the evil Santa. He is phenomenal. It's cheesy, it's corny, it's campy, but it's so much fun to watch Bill Goldberg be an evil Santa and mow through people. It is really amazing. Love it.
Now, real quick, I actually have a surprise for you. He's not here with us today, but I actually reached out to Bill Goldberg about coming on the show and talking to you because I knew you loved that movie.
Yeah.
Bill, people didn't respond. However, our friends at the WWE basically said, "Get lost. That's a horror movie. We don't want to discuss that." Why I'm an AEW fan.
Well,
so unfortunately, Bill couldn't join us, but I tried for you, so that was going to be a surprise, but it just didn't work out.
Well, I love the fact that you had this Christmas surprise for me, my friend. I was waiting for Bill Goldberg to run to my house and spear me. That's what I was waiting for.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, it would have been awesome with it, but we'll see. Maybe when he, I heard that his contract's so much up with the WWE, so we'll see.
Hopefully, next year we can talk to him about Santa's Sleigh.
Yeah. Number 4, Black Christmas, 1974. Bob Clark. You heard the story about Lynn Griffin. It's really one of the greatest slasher movies. The POV perspective, the crazy voice that's on the other line of the phone. You have a really awesome cast that's a part of it, and it's Bob Clark once talked about it on Bravo's 100 Scariest Movie Moments, and basically he said that Christmas might be one of the joyous times. And I'm paraphrasing, but it's also one of the most horrible times because the suicide rate's so high. Yep. So what better to create a horror movie than base it on something like a guy in the attic of a sorority house? Wonderful concept, fantastic movie. Number 3, it used to be called Safe Neighborhood, but it's Chris Peckover's Better Watch Out. Okay, 2016 was my first year at Fantastic Fest in Austin, Texas, and one of the reasons why I went, one of the big reasons, was because I was a fan of Chris Peckover, who made a movie called Undocumented for IFC Midnight. It's got Peter Stormare. It's got a really amazing young cast. It's got Nicholas Tucci, who passed away long before his time. He was the Blender Kill in You're Next.
Yeah.
So he made this follow-up movie called Safe Neighborhood, and it world premiered at Fantastic Fest. And then it was retitled Better Watch Out when it went on to distribution. It's a young boy and his friend and the babysitter. Okay? I won't give too much away because if you haven't seen it, you got to watch it.
I actually have not.
And it's over a Christmas holiday, and basically nothing is what it seems at all. It's very weird. It's very bizarre. It's got some classic homage kills to holiday films, including Home Alone. If you're a fan of Home Alone, you'll love it. But it's a film where everything is flipped on its head by the end of the movie, and it's beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful uses of Christmas lights ever, and in the most horrible of ways. So that's number 3. Better Watch Out, Chris Peckover, 2016.
Okay.
Now, 2017, and when I saw this movie the next year at Fantastic Fest, John McPhail, him and his cast, amazing. Anna and the Apocalypse. A zombie apocalypse happens right around Christmas break in London. And what happens is that the zombies are basically, they're taking over this school and the town. So Anna and her friends have to survive and rescue her dad and the people who are trapped in the school. That sounds pretty typical, right?
Yes.
Right? Okay. It's a horror, musical, holiday, drama, all wrapped in one and all done brilliantly. The music for this film, AC, all original holiday tunes.
Really?
Wonderful performances. I don't have the entire cast in front of me, but I will say this, that when I did the interview for Horror Hound magazine, they all sat down. Some of the nicest people I've talked to in the years I've worked for the magazine. And the film itself is just brilliant. It's got a blend of gore. It's got Broadway musical style numbers. It's got pop numbers in it. It's got funny moments. It's a dark comedy. It's a drama. And they have a wonderful scene because you look at Santa's sleigh. Anytime Bill Goldberg hits someone, it's wonderful. It's there's not just one scene in the movie.
Yeah.
With Black Christmas, it's all about the Lynn Griffin scene where she's suffocated and left in the chair throughout the movie. With Better Watch Out, it's about the Christmas lights when the female lead in it, the protagonist, is wrapped up before the home invaders are going to get her. For Anna and the Apocalypse, it's all about the Christmas tree forest and the zombies in the forest as they're trying to go through. It is one of the most catchy soundtracks you will ever listen to, and I highly recommend it. So that's number 2.
Hang on a second. How did I miss this? I'm a huge musical fan myself, and how did I miss this?
It came out of London, and it had the problem was, and it was picked up by Orion Pictures. The problem was it never got the major release it did, and the reason why is because it's not like PG-13. It's rated R, so there's cursing in it. So it's not really a family film. So it kind of falls into a gray area, and so it never got the audience it deserved. But I'll tell you something. Over the last 5 years especially, it's one of the best holiday horror films, and for me, one of my favorite films of the last 5 years overall. It's great. Pick it up.
Check that out.
So definitely worth it. Next week, you let me know what you think about that one.
Okay, I got to write that one down too.
Write them down. Write them down.
I have a paper that I set right here with just stuff that Jay tells me to watch.
Right now, AC, you're being naughty, and you look at Santa's face. This guy here is coming for you. Okay? That guy right there. Okay? Yeah.
Well, better for than on.
Ho, ho, ho. Okay? So with that being said, my number 1, and it's not really considered to be a horror film, but it really is. It's Scrooged. 1988, Bill Murray.
Yeah,
Rich Donner. If you watch that film, it really is a really frightening film. You think about the aspect of how dark the comedy is, first of all. You think about the fact of what the representations of death, even though it's meant to be comedic. John Forsythe as his old boss, I mean, it's wonderful. It's absolutely John. John Forsythe as old boss. It's wonderfully funny. But then as the film develops, all of a sudden you're dealing with people freezing to death. You're dealing with the fact of the redemption story for Howard Cross. You're dealing with death, which actually turns into him being burned alive in the coffin. And I know this is all part of a Christmas Carol, Scrooge, but the way it's done, the lighting, the elements of darkness that are brought into this Christmas tale, for me, it's not necessarily the most frightening of Christmas horror films, but I consider it to be a holiday horror film, and it's also one of my favorite films of all time. So for me, number one is Scrooged.
Okay, and I remember I'm this is full disclosure, and people are going to flame me for this. I've not actually seen that more than one time when I was younger.
Oh, I watch it every year.
I need to check it. I remember Death though looking very creepy in that the Ghost of Christmas Future, just very very creepy is my one memory of that movie, and then of course hearing the stories of behind the scenes. But wow, that was a great list. I was not expecting some of those. I was expecting you to actually include Gremlins because you've got Gremlins there.
Everyone throws Gremlins on there.
Gremlins is a must see. And actually, that made my list, but where is it? We'll find out in a minute. So I've got my top five, and I'll start with number five. Mine is actually Jack Frost, but it's not because of the movie itself. The movie itself, to me, is on the same level as Thanksgiving. It's a great fun. Just watch this movie. It's just absolute garbage. It's so good. But at the same time, I actually watched it. At a video store I used to work at because the boss called me on Christmas and he's like, "Hey, put in that Jack Frost movie," and he meant the Michael Keaton Jack Frost movie. I didn't know there was two of them, so I put in Jack Frost and got complaints and almost fired the next day for the content of the movie. So Jack Frost definitely number five on my list because it's a killer snowman. Come on,
wonderful.
It's a killer snowman. Number four on my list is actually Gremlins. I mean, I think Joe Lynch put it best in an episode of Holliston. He said, "You can't trust somebody who has never seen Gremlins." I mean, come on. It's a great Christmas movie. It's a great cautionary tale about somebody getting a pet for Christmas and realizing they don't want it, and then they fuck it up, and it becomes a problem. So the moral of the story is don't buy your kids pets for Christmas thinking it's a good idea. Wait till a different time of year to buy pets because those poor animals end up going to shelters and things. We don't want to see that. We want to see happy animals with happy homes. So Gremlins, watch Gremlins and realize if you're doing that, you're just doing the wrong thing. Sorry. So that's number four on my list. Number three. Now I'm going to preface number three because you're going to probably disagree with me here and roll your eyes. It takes place between Christmas and New Year's, so it counts as a Christmas movie. Ghostbusters 2.
Okay, I got no issue with that. That's one of the things that I get a kick out of people when they get upset because it's not exactly like Batman Returns is a Christmas movie.
Yep.
It really is. Die Hard. Die Hard is a Christmas movie, folks. Got news for you. It may be. A lot of people say it's not. It takes place during a Christmas party. Please stop. Stop.
It's still a Christmas movie.
It's still a Christmas movie.
So no, I absolutely think that Ghostbusters 2 counts. I mean, they're really the point of the movie is they're talking about the joy of the season, and they use the happiness of the New Year's Eve celebration to defeat Vigo the Carpathian. I mean, come on, it's a Christmas movie, and plus I just wanted to have a Ghostbusters thing on here to get a Ghostbusters thing on here. Let's be honest. Number two, I'm actually stepping outside of movies, but we're gonna go back to FearNet because you mentioned FearNet. One of FearNet's greatest successes, in my opinion, was Adam Green's Holliston, which I mentioned a few minutes ago. And the Holliston Christmas special is a must-watch every year. Now, here's what I actually like about it. If you've never seen it, or if you've never seen Holliston, it's the story of two guys just struggling, trying to make it. They're working a crappy job at a cable access station. They're trying to be filmmakers. All of us who are trying to do something with our lives know that struggle. And Adam Green and Joe Lynch just play the characters perfectly. Laura Ortiz, Corey English as their girlfriend, round out the cast. Dee Snider's in it. Dave Brockie, rest in peace, is his imaginary friend that lives in his closet as odorous Urungus from War. But if you've never seen it, it's just a fantastic show. And the Christmas episode, more than any other Christmas thing I think I've ever seen, really exemplifies the spirit of hope at Christmas because there's a scene in it, and I don't want to give too much away, but there's an argument between a couple characters, and one character still gives the other one their Christmas gift. And when this particular character opens the gift and realizes what it is, and that it's going to help this person achieve their dreams, it's that sense of hope and that
Nice.
sense of everything. And so, the Holliston Christmas special, if you love horror, you're going to get a lot of horror in it too. Robert Pendergraft, another great effects artist. He's the Christine Kringle Tingler in it, who's this maniac that's broken out of an effects ward. So check it out, the Holliston Christmas special. Adam Green usually posts it for free every year, and hopefully one of these days we'll get him on the show. He's another hero of mine. Holliston actually saved my life at a different point in my life. So I love that show. And number one is something you mentioned earlier. You got to interview a couple people from it, and I don't think this is going to be a surprise as nerdy as I am. Nightmare Before Christmas, number one, because it ties Halloween right into Christmas and basically says, F you, Christmas, it's still Halloween. And I love it. I love it.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And real quick,
yeah.
Casey, and this is on that recording I talked about earlier. When we sat down with it, there was a full house there for Chris Sarandon and Ken Page. And of course, those who don't know Ken Page, Cats. He was, I mean, that really, talented actor, but Cats is what he's pretty much known for, other than Oogie Boogie in Nightmare Before Christmas, excuse me. But Chris Sarandon and him were talking about Broadway. They got in a conversation, right? And Chris Sarandon broke down in tears how much he loved acting on Broadway. And it's one of the most amazing moments as me as a professional, as a journalist, and as a moderator, to talk to them and to see that emotion come out of them. So they love The Nightmare Before Christmas, but I mean, true actors, most love Broadway. So that was something that came out of that, but they had a ball with The Nightmare.
Yeah, I've been a fan since it came out back in the 90s. And I remember I bought the big black clamshell when it came out from Kmart. The day it came out, I saved up my money and I bought that because I wanted to see the movie and my parents refused to let me see it. And it's become one of my favorite movies ever since. I mean, the thing I think I like about it, more so than the Christmas aspect or the Halloween aspect, it's a movie about complacency. And, you get bored in your station in life and you want more. And you think you want more. And then you try and achieve that. And you're like, well, it's not exactly what I thought it would be. And we all have those moments in life. And it's just sort of a really good look at that between Henry Selick, the director, and Tim Burton, who wrote it. Danny Elfman, who did the singing voice of Jack and really gave that perfect inflection, to Ken Page, who Oogie Boogie is my character from that movie. I mean, I love Oogie Boogie. And Ken is still somebody I have to meet one of these days to speak to because, man, I just heard he's fantastic. And so I'm looking forward to meeting him at some point in time. But that's our top 5 list. And Jay, I want to actually wrap up the show this week doing something a little different. We did the top 5 a little bit early because I want to ask you one more very important question because it's the holidays. We've been talking about holiday horror films and everything. You're a director. You've been in film. I've been an actor. I've been a director. If you could create a horror-based holiday kill for a movie or a kill scene, what would you do?
That's a really interesting one because I like simplicity in my kills. Not that I've done anything like that, but like Friday the 13th, one of my favorite ones is Jason with the sleeping bag. Real simple. Against the tree. Real simple. One I think holiday I would love, and this kind of goes back to when I was a kid, and I got this one when my mom and dad were still together. I couldn't have been more than 10 years old, 11 years old. And I still have the chest. It even survived the flood that we had back at Labor Day. But one of the things I always thought about was, as I got more in horror, what if there wasn't presents in there and what if there was a body in there? And you opened up and you saw a body on Christmas Day. And the thing that I brought up more than anything, and this was an inspiration for a short film I haven't written yet, but I think it's really interesting, is hanging by Christmas lights. Because then you've got the wonderful colors surrounding the macabre aspect of it, giving it a really disturbing, sickly feel to something that's supposed to be really joyous with those beautiful lights. And you had the person hanging there, like in Suspiria, when she comes down and she's hooked by the cable. Well, it's not, it comes through a beautiful stained glass, and you're overwhelmed by the colors that day glow kind of feel to it that Dario Argento does, and then it's boom, quick impact, and then hanging right there, and the look on her face. Well, what if you did that with Christmas lights? and you had it all the way down with all the different lights as it unraveled, and then when the stream stopped, it snapped, and then it did that. So for me, I like the aspect of hanging by Christmas lights. I would think that would be both beautiful and cut, because there's been a lot of things that have been done. And in fact, if you see a movie called Black Christmas, no, not Black Christmas, Red Christmas, came out a few years ago from an Australian comedian director, and it had Dee Wallace in it. It was a really fun concept that he did. It got a lot of shit, mind you, but basically the whole movie is about a woman goes through an abortion, and the abortion lives and comes back home one Christmas Eve.
Yes.
And it's really disturbing. It's very darkly funny. It's meant to shock people. And Dee Wallace was like, I think she was a producer as well as one of the leads into it. And it turned out to be a really great horror film. But there's been some really crazy stuff done with wrapping paper and really crazy stuff done with boxes. It's 7. What's in the box? And that's not even a Christmas movie. But Christmas lights really aren't done as any sort of way of killing people. So I thought, after seeing Better Watch Out, they don't kill anyone with them, but they tie her up and restrain her with them. And that sickly glow of something that's supposed to be beautiful that turns into something horrible is just, it's wonderful.
Wow.
So.
Well, I've got the reason I thought about this is actually several years ago. I've mentioned before, upbringing not very good, but I did have good moments, obviously. And my stepdad and I, in his later years, connected a little bit before his passing, and he understood what I was doing with horror filmmaking and things at that point in time, and acting in those horror roles.
Right.
And he suffered from anxiety. I suffered from anxiety and PTSD myself. We came up with a story called "Shop Till You Drop." And it's a story about a guy on Black Friday shopping, and he just can't handle it, and he just loses his shit right in the middle of Walmart and starts killing everybody. We would actually go to Walmart at the Christmas season, and he'd be like, "Hey, you can shove this tree up somebody's butthole," and just like that. And I think that would be a great kill. But the one that I always liked was those glass Christmas balls that everybody has. Just shoving those down someone's throat one at a time, and as they break, it's just tearing up and just splitting them open. And you're just forcefully like using a plunger to shove them down their throat because they won't shut up about Christmas, or they're outside ringing the dang bell all the time and saying, "Hey, give me some money." You don't have any money. That's the kind of crap you need to do on Christmas.
Oh,
so that's why I thought about this. One of these days, I will turn that into a fully fleshed out film version. I've got a short script for it, but I've been working on it for several years. One of these days it will happen. The hard part will be getting Walmart to agree to let us film there.
Well, like Black Friday, they had Checkmart, I think, for Black Friday, and they've done all different kinds of names and alterations on that. But one of the things that I absolutely love that you're talking about is, and this is one of the reasons why, AC, I love horror. It's because when you look at horror, yes, it's very taboo, it's very niche. I get all that. But the simple fact is, it's one of the most incredibly artistic forms of film, and you're able to create some really terrifying things that are believable. You make people believe that this really could happen, and that's something, to be able to create that sense of imagination and fantasy is just amazing. And if you look at it, it's a thin line between the holidays and horror, because you're doing the same exact thing with the holidays. You're creating this fantasy and this amazement of something that's happening. Because if you think about Santa, and I firmly believe in Santa, even at 45, Santa was a real person a long, long time ago, and I believe in the spirit of Santa. And when I look at this, Santa Claus, it's a guy who's breaking into your house, man. He's breaking your house. He's stealing your food, man. He's leaving packages. What's in the packages? What's in the box? So it's a thin line between a laugh and a scream. It's a thin line between horror and the holidays when it comes to it. But I have a question for you before we wrap.
What's up?
So one of the things I always thought was a lot of fun was when you look at it, and first let me ask you, pick a horror icon, quick.
Just anyone? Freddy.
Freddy, okay. What would you get Freddy for Christmas?
A knife sharpener.
Oh, that knife sharpener! What?
I take that back, because I guess he's already got the grinding stone to do them from the first movie. He's got all the tools in the boiler room, so maybe, I don't know, maybe some skin cream or something.
Well done, well said. Oh.
No, so let me ask you this. We're getting close to the end of the show, but is there anything you're hoping to get this Christmas? Anything you're hoping your lady gets you or anything like that?
I'm just hoping that I get happiness, man, because it's been an interesting year, and a lot of people are coming out of COVID. Even though we still are in a pandemic, we still are. So please, folks, use common sense, especially during the holidays. For me, I've got all my boosters and shots. Some people don't believe in it, some people do. So whatever, to each their own. Just use common sense. Wear a mask.
Absolutely.
If you're not vaccinated, and even if you are in your big crowds, wear a mask. And use social distancing still when you can, because you never quite know, and you can still get it even if you're vaccinated. So just use common sense no matter what.
Absolutely.
And I hope people are happy and healthy. But for me, honestly, AC, there's not a whole lot that I've got to a point in my life where I don't really look for anything anymore. So, I'm just hoping for a good time and an uneventful holiday where I can enjoy it and get ready, because I'm almost finished with my next semester of school, so it's all good.
Well, there you go. That's the best present you can get. That would be that degree coming up pretty soon, right?
Yeah, in a little bit, but yeah, it's getting a little bit closer. What about you?
I keep getting asked this every year. I'm like you. I don't really look for anything. I'm the dad of the family. Dads don't get a lot. They get the tie or the Eddie Murphy had that famous bit about Brute by Fabergé. That's the kind of thing. This year, there's been one item, and I'm again, my Ghostbusters nerdiness knows no bounds. HasLab Proton Pack, but it's $400, and I just don't think it's going to be on my list. But the bad part is, I know if I don't get it now, it's going to be 3 times the price when it comes out in 2023. So it's a little bit, but I just most of the time I just want to sit home and just spend time with my family, my kids, and just watch them have good experiences. They've got to have some amazing experiences this year themselves. My son, my youngest son's disabled. I got to spend some time with the AEW locker room and be their bat boy for the charity softball game back in September. And it's really cool. And we've been bringing up pro wrestling a lot, but pro wrestling and horror tie in. We're going to talk about that in another episode. But seeing those people, the people I grew up watching, Mark Henry and some of those guys, and Taz running out on home plate as my son has collapsed on home plate, scoring his first home run, and they were cheering him on. And here's, Brian Pillman Jr., a guy I used to watch his dad at Sean's age. It's just so cool to me that my kids got to experience such cool things this year. More than anything, I just want to see that for, like you, just happiness. I think that's the best we could do. And we wish all of you happiness, happy holidays to you all. And we hope that you have a horrifying time, a happy time, whatever you want it to be. We hope that your holidays are just delightful for all of you.
Happy holidays and Merry Christmas to everyone out there. Whatever you celebrate, have a great time and be so thankful and blessed for all the people you have around you, and also all the movies you have around you. Because no doubt, the ones who are watching this, you've got a ton of movies. So do me a favor, spend the holiday break watching commentaries.
Absolutely.
Watch commentaries and get educated, folks. But we thank you so much. With this, we're in episode 4. We're going to go to the Patreon shortly after in just a minute or so. But thank you so much for everything.
Yes, and if you want to find us online, talk to us, communicate with us, facebook.com/infamous horror. Right down there at Patreon, you can see it scrolling across the screen, patreon.com/infamous horror. You can find me at Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, AC McRae6363. I'm never going to get that right. JKJAYKAY, or A Strange Man in the Filmland on Facebook. Go find him. He is going to be the next Academy Award-winning director in 2022. So do not miss your chance to follow him before he's going to big league you.
Well, I'm going to say this, big leaguer. I don't know if I could ever do that because I'm 5'5", so I can't be that big. But with that being said, though, next week we're going to talk about some of our favorite films from 2021. So
predictions. Predictions for 2022. So we've got a year in review and a what's to come. And the Patreon for next week, not this week, but next week, we're going to have our first ever Infamous Horror Deadpool. We're going to talk about who we think is going to kick the bucket in 2022.
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. And real quick, I want to give a quick shout out real quick. I don't know if anyone is a comic book fan here, but if you are, and AC, you talked about Holliston saving your life. For me, it was the mid-90s X-Men cartoons on Fox.
Man.
And Disney Plus announced, and it's old news now, but I keep forgetting to bring it up over the last 3 episodes before this. but they're doing X-Men 97, which
Yes.
is a continuation of that series, and some of the voice talent's coming back, and hopefully it's not like season 5 where they shipped everything overseas. It's like the art it was for the first 4. I'll tell you, I watched that on Disney Plus. Folks, Peacock and Disney Plus, so worth every single dollar you're going to spend on them. It's amazing. So, do you want to see that? That is a Christmas present for me, getting that news, because I love that. And you know what I had read? I missed it. It was a while ago.
What's that?
They're doing, they're doing reshoots on Doctor Strange too, right?
Yeah, I've heard that. That's what I heard today.
I saw. I was like, yes.
Like,
so good.
I cannot wait. Like, as the time this comes out, I may or may not have seen Spider-Man. I'm going to see it as soon as it comes out, but I believe it's actually the day a couple days before Christmas, right?
Yeah.
We record these a little bit ahead, but I'm looking forward to that, and I can't wait how it ties into Doctor Strange. Plus, Sam Raimi directing Doctor Strange.
Oh yes,
you've got some Raimi connections, right? You can get him on the show for us.
Oh, of course. No problem. Merry Christmas to everyone.
Merry Christmas to you all. We hope you had a great time. We had a fun time. For the Infamous Horror Podcast, I'm AC. He's JK. We will see you next time.